The government's announced an independent review of Chrous's finances. That follows a ruling by the Commerce Commission that it must cut its copper broadband price. The government wants to know if Chrous can uphold its commitment to build the new ultrafast broadband network. Well, Chrus's shares tumbled on news of that review. They lost 10% in trading. We'll speak to the Communications Minister, Amy Adams, shortly. But first, the lobby group that says the government shouldn't be meddling. The Coalition for Fair Internet Pricing is made up of business and consumer groups. Its spokesperson, Sue Chetwin, who's also the head of Consumer New Zealand. She joins us now from Wellington. Good morning, Ms Chetwin. Thank you for joining us this morning. Chrous says if the copper price is cut by 23%, it could go to the wall. Do you believe that's a valid assessment of its position?
Look, we don't really believe that is a valid assessment. It made a significant profit last year, something in the order of 170 million, and paid out 95 million in dividends. So what we do think is a really good idea is the government now having an independent inquiry into Chrus's finances, so we can all decide and have a good view of where Chrous actually is at.
So you think the government was right to do that rather than perhaps make a decision this week and give the industry, give some stability, if you like, to Chrous?
Look, I think it really is a good idea, and you know, what I think has been unfortunate is the long time that it's taken us to get to here. I think there's been really a sham discussion document that's been put out. I think it's been unfortunate that the government has suggested that it might override the Commerce Commission when that is the independent regulator, and makes New Zealand look very silly both nationally and internationally if we do that sort of thing. So I think the inquiry into the finances, the state of affairs at Chrous is the best option.
What will that tell the government then? If you don't think the government should intervene, why does the government need to host or hold that review?
Well, I think the review will tell us whether Chrous is in a precarious financial position or not. That's what Chrous is saying. We don't actually know, but we can have a look at what their profits are like, what their dividends are like, what a company that has a monopoly on copper and is likely to have a monopoly on ultra-fast broadband. It has 70% of that. You know, what that will actually look like now and what it will look like in the future when it's getting the dividends from having both of those monopoly operations.
What do you think the government should do then? It has a number of options open to it. What do you think it should do?
Well, I think it's doing now what it should have done right at the very start, is having a look at Chrous, saying, look, you're crying wolf, basically. You're saying that you might go broke if you don't get extra funding from taxpayers, and that's what it's all about. Don't forget that Chrous tendered for the ultra-fast broadband rollout. They got $1 billion from us. Now they're asking for more. So I think it's completely appropriate for the government to have a look at its books and really see for itself if it does require more funding.
Chrous could also appeal the Commerce Commission decision itself, and it's our understanding that could take some time, possibly even years. What would be the implications, do you think, for consumers?
Look, Chrous could do that, but by December 2014, the price that the Commerce Commission has set, if a decision hasn't been reached, would be put into place, and then the discussions would continue, and that also wouldn't necessarily be a bad outcome.
If Chrous accepts that cut, it's 23%, and it proceeds from there, do you imagine the providers will pass that saving on to consumers?
Well, look, already some of the providers have said very clearly that they will do that, and I can't imagine in this environment that any of the providers would actually try to hold on to that. And it really is all about, what consumers will get at the end of all of this.
So is it a given that at the moment we're paying too much for our broadband?
Well, yes, it is, and copper is an old legacy product. Its prices could come down, and the reason that people will shift to ultra-fast broadband is because of the fantastic new services and speed they're going to get from that. It won't really be about price. It's a little bit about the same as when we all shifted from dial-up to getting broadband. So the reason people will shift won't be about price.
That said, no one is shifting to UFB because it's my understanding there's some 300,000 consumers that it's available to. It's about 9,900 have taken it up. That's about 3%. Does that concern you that no one is taking up UFB?
Oh, look, I think they will over time. It's one of those things, you know, people didn't shift from dial-up to broadband straight away. It will accelerate, and it will accelerate once the services and the programming becomes so good that you don't want to be without it. So we're at the early stages, but it will accelerate.
It could accelerate too if you kept the copper price at the same price and then you have a superior product just next to it for about the same price. That would encourage people to go across to UFB as well.
Yeah, but what they, at the moment, that would mean that you went across to UFB, you wouldn't be getting the maximum speeds that you could possibly get from it. So you could actually get a much better product if the pricing was different.
The government wants UFB to be available, says it will be available by 2020, and that's, you know, really only about 6 years away now. Do you think we will all be using UFB by 2020, or could some of us still be using copper?
Oh, look, some people may still be using copper simply because they can't get it. And don't forget, you know, there is quite a big percentage of the country that is never going to be able to get this. But I think that we will change. We just will, because it'll be, you know, it'll be the way to go. You won't be able to, you know, use any of the services that you want to use at the speed you want to use them without it.
All right, Sue Chetwin from the Coalition for Fair Internet Pricing, thank you.